I used to call immigrants fobs. I don't call them that anymore.
I grew up with this term. It was a way Asian people would make fun of other Asian people in America by calling them fob.
Yeah.
You have an accent, eat weird stuff, you smell weird, you're Asian.
You dress weird.
Right. It was our way of separating ourselves
Absolutely.
from other Asians that were two Asians. Do Filipinos know what fresh off the boat mean? So today, I'm excited to have Tony Olaes with me on my podcast. And if you guys don't know Tony yet, you should. Tony is a serial entrepreneur. He's been investing, actually not from here. He's Filipino, but he wasn't born here.
Fil-Am.
He's Fil-Am. And he's been investing in the Philippines, various businesses. But the one that caught my attention was Tony is the founder of the Filipino Story. And I've had several conversations with him. The Filipino Story is quite a remarkable channel that has grown to nearly 1 million followers across channels, across platforms in just within a year. And the type of content that you guys are putting out is incredibly inspiring.
Yeah.
And I think every Filipino, if they don't already know the Filipino Story, should be watching this. And so today, I'm lucky enough to have Tony here with us. And so, Tony, tell us why the hell are you here in the Philippines?
I usually start with, I'm a born-again Filipino.
Okay. What does that mean?
I hated being Filipino.
You did?
I hated being Filipino.
In the States, you
Yeah, because I'm born and raised in San Diego, California.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful place, but man, I didn't want to be Filipino.
Right.
You know, you watch television as a kid, and all you hear is bad news. And you get indoctrinated to all of this bad news, so you don't want to be associated with it. And then here's Hawaii.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking great things about it. So I wanted to be Hawaiian. I wanted to be Hawaiian growing up. That was it.
The funny thing is, in Hawaii, there's so many Filipinos.
Yes.
And they don't say they're Filipino. They say they're Hawaiians.
Exactly. You know, we all grew up the way we grew up from outside of the motherland. And you don't know anything else but that culture. But there's this thing called colonial mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, a lot of us don't even know that. We're just a part of it. And whether we like it or not, I'm going to call colonial mentality the matrix. You're in a matrix. You don't know you're in it. And when you find out there's another outside getting unplugged, you do what I do. You come to the Philippines to get unplugged. And that's what I did. And it's been about 18 years, me coming back. It's been over 80 trips back and forth, trying to understand my own Filipino-ness and why I did what I did and what happened. And, you know, how did the place get so poor? And why isn't there this sense of nationalism?
Yeah.
You see? Because I didn't give a shit about this place.
Yeah. Can you tell us, you know, I think there's a lot of people who can relate with you in terms of, but there's a lot of people in the Philippines that don't understand this. And I think people like you and I who grew up in the States understand this a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us like maybe a story of like when was it, what happened in your childhood or whatever that made you feel like you didn't want to be Filipino?
I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Okay. I just turned 60. Yeah. So television was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was nothing else. There were no cell phones. Yeah. Internet. Yeah. Right. You know, everything at your fingertips. No, it was TV.
Yeah.
And it was cartoons. And in between cartoons, sometimes you had to watch news. Sometimes you were forced to watch whatever you needed to watch. And whenever the Philippines came up, it was bad news.
Yeah.
So I wanted nothing to do with it. And I think anybody who grows up in the United States and you're watching American television, nobody tells you that bad news sells. And that's all there was when I grew up. And then there was racism, discrimination. You know, people would come in and I'd have these like Tupperware. It wasn't Tupperware. It was like old ice cream. I had some sinigang in there, and people go, "What the hell's that?" You know, and I'm just like, "Sinigang? You don't know sinigang?" And you're like, "What's a sinigang?" And you'd be made fun of because of what you ate. So I came and I made a freaking bologna sandwich, you know, and mom and dad said, assimilate 100%. You see, 100%. Don't speak the language.
You know, my parents told me the same thing.
Yeah,
They told us at a young age, stop speaking Chinese in the house. And then we lost it. Did that happen to you?
Yeah. We knew it. We knew it. We didn't speak it fluently all the time, but we could do it. But it was lost because we had to protect ourselves, our family. And a lot of people don't know that. They're like, you know, teach your kids. And well, that's not how we grew up. When people are out to beat you up around a corner because your eyes don't look like their eyes and your skin don't look like their skin, hey, talk like them.
Yeah.
That's all you got.
And so opposite from the Philippines, but if you've grown up in the States as an immigrant, there is an extreme social pressure to fit in and assimilate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's how I grew up.
Yeah. And that was kind of like what really drew me in about this place. Right off the bat, there was no such thing as that. It's almost like you were celebrated for being different.
Yeah. And there's reasons for that, right?
Yeah.
Because I just grew up with I'm going to say a great childhood, a great Filipino childhood, and I'm going to say a great Filipino-American childhood. We did all the things Filipino, but we had to assimilate. And as a kid, I saw stuff on TV I didn't like, so I made up my mind that I don't need to be Filipino. And it started in kindergarten, through grade school, through junior high, to high school, and you just get to a point where I don't need this. I don't want to be part of this brand of being inferior. And Fil-Am was a better brand than Filipino in the United States.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk about my Filipino-ness, I wouldn't say I was Filipino. I'd say I was Fil-Am. And then they knew I was born here. And it cleaned itself up as you get older and you start to ask the deeper questions. Okay. But
what were those deeper questions you started asking yourself?
I think the turning point was my grandparents had a 50th wedding anniversary, and she flew 27 grandkids over along with parents and stuff to celebrate this 50th wedding anniversary.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's so Filipino. It was awesome to do that, but for me, I would see all these squatters on the side of the road, on these like shanties with all of this trash underneath it, and this is beachfront property.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're business people. This is beach. Well, I was like 19, 20, but I'm just like, this is beachfront. Why are you throwing trash in the water, man? Coming from the first world, you just look at it like, guys, man, get a job. Don't make us look bad. Don't just pick up your trash, you know. And you expect the trash man to come and pick up all that stuff. There is no trash man. Nobody told me.
Yeah.
You see, so you have all these first world assumptions that are just not the case. You see, and that was what I wanted to understand, because I'm thinking one way, and this thing was the problem was so big because the poverty was everywhere. It was just everywhere you turned. You see, and my grandparents weren't wealthy. My grandfather was in the Navy, and he retired and he came back here. And he lived off of a pension. But just looking at all the shanties, it just blew me away. It really blew me away.
How long did these questions and frustrations come about? Or did it take you many years before you started to
I'm going to say the biggest turning point was when I started my first business, and it was T-shirts. I'm a graphic designer by trade, right? And I started a T-shirt company, and that T-shirt company blew up. And I was selling lowrider shirts and stuff like that in America, but I did well doing it. And but I couldn't have done it if my father and mother hadn't invested in me. Okay.
So you had your success mostly. You had all of your success. You built your success in the U.S.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and that was it. It was when we started to do well that my parents chose to move back to the Philippines after 50 years. And that's what upset me. I was just like, oh, man, you come here for the American dream,
And
for
then
the
you
greener
leave for
pasture,
retirement.
and then you do well, and then all of a sudden you go back and you want to go into harm's way.
Dude, can we talk about this for
Yeah,
one moment?
absolutely.
Because I feel the exact same way when I'm there. It took me a lifetime to achieve success, but then when I'm there, I'm like, I want to come back here. And so many people, so many Filipinos feel that way as well. I'm not even Filipino, and I feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, and people wouldn't understand that.
Yeah, it cuts pretty deep for me because, being Filipino is, you have to feel it. How's that?
Yeah.
And people laugh, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's true. Feel it beans.
Okay, explain.
Philippines. You feel it, man. That's probably the best way people go, ha, 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 ha. That's corny. I said, but it's true. If you haven't felt this place, when you land, the minute you land here, you know, you feel it. And the more you talk with people, you feel it. And there's this absolute beautiful connection that people have with you, that Filipinos have with, I'm going to just say people, humanity. I think that's what makes us so beautifully unique, is that connectivity, you see? And people like, damn, like who's Theo Vaughn? Theo Vaughn, yeah. When I die, I want to be Filipino, right?
That's how I heard
When
that
I die, if I die, I want to be Filipino. And I was like, I'm just like, and it's true.
Yeah.
Because he can't explain. I'll explain it in this podcast, but he's explaining something like Anthony Bourdain. He says this, he goes, for reasons I've yet to understand, Filipinos are the most giving of all people on the planet. That's a bold statement. All? He's traveled all over the world. And he says, the most giving of all. It's the same reason Anthony Bourdain, I know he ain't around anymore, and Theo Vaughn. I mean, you got to feel it, and they feel it.
Yeah, I invested on properties across 8 locations across 4 countries. And I always look forward to coming back here the most for the same reason. I just don't feel the same type of connection with people in any other country I've been in. Not even close.
Yeah.
You know, and people would ask me, well, why do you choose the Philippines? Why do you live in the Philippines? You live in all these other great places. These are places that Filipinos would dream to move to. But all I can say is one thing. I mean, people are just happy here.
Yeah.
And that influences me.
Hey, Kurt Harris. You know Kurt Harris? Tagalog Kurt.
Tagalog Kurt.
He's also he's also blowing up, right?
Yeah.
And he's a white guy from Utah.
Yeah. They gave him a citizenship, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay. But I seen him on your.
Yeah, and Kurt's a great guy, and one of these, he said this in one of the talk shows here. Somebody asked him, why are you coming to the Philippines? Mm-hmm. And he just said, for the Filipino.
Right.
Because the Filipino, he goes, well, because there's no other place then I could get the Filipino. I could get all these places have the architecture. They have beaches. They have all these nice things. But the Philippines is the only place I could find the Filipino. That's what I'm here for. It's awesome.
Right.
You see that? And he could explain it too. And he's good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
And
But it took me several years to figure this. It didn't hit me in the beginning. Okay. It took me a long time to figure this out. For the first 5 years, I was beating my head against the wall, right? And I was trying to start businesses here, and I, was just burnt out of frustration and this and that. But it took me leaving to realize how much I was missing it,
wow.
right?
Wow.
And then on top of that, I needed to answer the questions in my mind, just sort of like you. Like I needed to ask myself, like, why are things the way they are? Some things just don't make sense here. Yeah. And those things will end up like frustrating you and burning you out. But then if you start seeking the answers, and that's why I do these podcasts and why I do these interviews.
And thank you for doing them. And thank you for doing them, because this is kind of the new format. I mean, this is what people are listening to. And you've been here how many years? Like 16, 17 years?
Yeah,
you see,
16.
me, like 18 years coming back and forth.
Yeah.
And I love this place, just like you. And you and I are kind of the same. I just have Filipino blood in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I needed to try to understand these questions in my mind. And as soon as I start understanding this is sort of like my therapy and my, kind of transcending above the things that would frustrate me about this place. And that's how I've learned how to cope with it.
Yeah, it's... My biggest frustration was the lack of nationalism, patriotism. It's, like Korea did it, right? Singapore did it. And when's the Philippines going to do it? You just can't do it unless everybody's together and everybody is on the same page, right? And that I know people love this place, but they also complain about it a lot too, you see, and they don't feel they could be part of the solution. But it's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing, right?
So what made you invest? You were living a good life. You were successful in the U.S., living in San Diego, which is such a comfortable place. I know because I also lived in San Clemente, which is a neighboring town.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful beach towns, right? And here you are, you've made your success there, but you're starting businesses here. I'm assuming some of these businesses aren't as lucrative as they are in the States. Maybe they are. I don't know.
They're not the ones that I have right now. Look. To answer your question, Jana, I came here to help. And it all started when I walked into I was doing this work for this NGO called Gawad Kalinga. And that's kind of what brought me into these slums. And back in the day, I loved playing golf. So my uncle that I'd never met knew that I loved golf. And he took me golfing one day, and he came up and he didn't know nothing about him. So we're playing golf, and he says, "Hey, I said, Uncle, what do you do for a living?" And he goes, half the time I sell insurance, half the time I help the poor. And I'm an American capitalist. And I'm like, what, Uncle, what the hell are you doing donating half your time to help the poor? Are you nuts? And I said, what do you do? And he goes, we build houses for them. I said, you build houses for them? Like Habitat for Humanity? And he goes, no, it's better. And that was fighting words for me.
Yeah.
Growing up in the United States, and somebody says something in the Philippines is better than United States. I said, Uncle,
You wanted to prove it wrong, or
yeah, well, because it's colonial mentality again. I grew up from my parents and my grandparents that everything in the Philippines is inferior. everything's inferior. So that transferred over to me. So when my uncle said Gawad Kalinga was better than Habitat for Humanity, I called bullshit. And that's really where he just said, okay, I'll show you.
So was it better?
Operationally, Habitat is. But effectiveness, when it comes to what it's doing for the poor here, Gawad Kalinga wins.
Okay.
It just wins.
What did you see when you were there?
I saw extremely poor people playing a part in their own success. Because I played a small role, the local business played a small role, the congressman played a small role, the mayor or the councilor had a small role. The schools played a small role. There was everybody working together to build these little villages. And it would never happen if people didn't come together. And I was trying to explain that to people in the States. I said, this is kind of this neat little thing where everybody's doing their little part. And it's pretty easy because everybody does their little part. And they go like teamwork. And I said, yeah, but better.
Right.
Yeah. But that was it. And I found out later, so I'm doing all this work with Gawad Kalinga, and I found out that word was called Bayanihan. Bayanihan.
I have the picture in your videos of everyone picking up this house.
Yeah.
Right? And moving it.
Yep.
Right? And that's a very Filipino thing.
I didn't know it was a Filipino thing. I never knew what it was. Okay. As a kid, I heard the word when this dance company called the Bayanihan dance troupe would come to town. I never watched a show, but that's the only time I ever heard the word. But yeah, Bayanihan, man, that's a big core value of the Filipino. I know now.
What are the 4 or 5 core values you talk about?
It's really only 3.
3?
We only narrowed it down to 3. There's others, but this was the main 3 that we felt in the Filipino Story animated series that we wanted to focus on.
And those were Bayanihan?
So number 1, Bayanihan. Everybody coming together for a common purpose. Okay. Kapwa. I'm one with you and you're one with me. We're so close that we're the same person. You see? And the last one is kabutihang loob. It's that goodness and kindness within us, our loob, that we get to share it with humanity. It's who we are.
Now, did you always knew you had these?
No.
Or did you?
I didn't even know the words.
Did you discover that when you were surrounded by Filipinos?
I felt it through experience, but you couldn't describe it as the words that I gave you. I didn't know those words. But it was evident growing up as a Fil-Am in the United States. It was evident in seeing in my friends.
Yep.
And when I would started traveling, it's evident everywhere.
I experienced it with my Filipino American friends, or the few friends that I had that were Filipino.
Yeah.
And those are the guys who stayed friends with me.
You see, it's that's why you have people like Theo Von and Anthony Bourdain and the likes saying all of this stuff about us because of those 3 core values. I was just a month ago. I'm pulling some weeds in my front lawn, and a neighbor that I don't know comes up to me and says, "Hey, nice yard. Can I get the designer, the landscaper to so I could do my yard?" And I'm just like, well, I drew it on a napkin, man.
Yeah.
But I'll draw it for you if whatever you need. And he's of Asian Indian descent, and he's grew up in New York, and he just goes, "Are you Filipino?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Because you offered to design my whole yard for free." That is so friggin' Filipino, man. I grew up in New York, and all my friends just offered everything for free.
Yeah.
You see,
That's
just
true,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's just who we are.
Yeah.
That's why you like coming here. That's why I like coming here.
I know. I do. And yeah, I do. You guys, I can't express it the way you guys have, but and then when I saw your videos, I was like, oh my God, like finally someone like explaining this. And so I had to get you guys on my show. I got Bonnie on my podcast,
Yeah.
and now I'm here with you. But yeah, it really inspired me as well, and I think it should inspire a lot of other Filipinos or a lot of Asian. I think it even inspires other Asian Americans as well. Yeah.
In the comment section, yeah, we're getting a lot of that too. Yeah, it's. I didn't know nothing about YouTube, right? I knew it existed, but I never knew I'd have a channel. You know, it just was never written. It just kind of came to be. And all I knew was I started, the Filipino Story Studio actually started off as the Filipino School.
Oh, that's
Yes,
right.
the Filipino School.
You guys started a school in Texas, right?
And actually in San Diego.
Was it in San Diego?
In San Diego.
And
2015.
The school was to teach people Tagalog or culture?
No, it was beyond just language. We wanted to we wanted them to come here, but the school taught history, culture, and language simultaneously. It wasn't just language. I'm going to say 3/4 of it was culture and history, and then language was third. But we started in 2015, and 2020 came, and boom, shut us down. And that's really where we went online. We were forced to go online.
I wish I had something like this for, Vietnamese American or
Yeah.
Chinese Americans or whatever. We had nothing like that. I still don't know my family roots and history all that well.
Well, that's why I started the school, because I was going back and forth. I'm like, man, I gotta bottle up this feeling, and I want to be able to get it out there, and that's the reason why I started that school. But it was tough to see these little kids sitting there bored out of their skull on a Saturday, and I'm like, God, there's got to be a better way. And the pandemic became the gift. It forced us to think creatively, and that's where I said, I'm going to make a damn cartoon. And I'm going to put it out there and let the algorithm do the work. And that's what happened.
So how's it going so far?
It being a business person, right?
Yeah.
I look at I have people look at all the data. I said, the data lives in the answers. I think we should be 3 times as big now, but it's when I talk to people like you or Kurt or anybody else, they're like, man, you guys are killing it for the first year.
Yeah.
And it's true from that standpoint, but the business person in me says, okay, guys,
It's not making any money.
yeah. Exactly.
It's costing me a lot of money every month.
and it's a labor of love. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because it's important. Like you said, you didn't grow up with it. I didn't grow up with it. And it's going to be absolutely free online or the FilipinoStory.com. It's if I can't help the way I want to help in my lifetime, John, a new generation is going to emerge because of the stuff we've produced. You see? They're not going to grow up hating being Filipino. They're going to grow up being empowered because they were inspired by our stuff. That's really why I created it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I'm here, and while I'm here, and that's the main reason why I'm here, and on the same note, it's a great place to be because you're around Filipinos everywhere who are willing to do something for you.
So now that you kind of are on this role, and I actually think your biggest potential will come from whatever you create, as long as you keep growing the way you guys are growing. Where do you see this going? What other problems do you guys think you can maybe address as this gets bigger and bigger?
We can address any problem for the Filipino globally because it's by the Filipino. The only thing that's missing is we're not together in it. I grew up a Fil-Am. in the 70s and 80s. People grow up in Australia, people grow up in Canada. Everybody's growing up in different cultures. You just look at the Fil-Am. We're the highest per capita Filipino on the planet. We make more money per capita than any Filipino in the world. You put us all together, the 4 million of us in the United States, just spending power is 150 plus billion. That's just spending.
Yep.
Just buying shit.
Right. And Filipinos, out of all the Asian ethnicity, is one of the top earners now.
Yeah. Second highest to the Asian Indian.
Right.
Household income. Yeah, we have the education, we have the creativity, and we have the intelligence. We just don't know who we are in the U.S. right now.
You know what I think is the shame about the Philippines? We tout OFW remittances as a big part of the country's GDP.
Yeah.
I think that's such a shame. I mean, it's a beautiful story that Filipinos go abroad and work hard to bring back money here, and it's a big contributor. But it's shameful that they need to do that. And I think, you know, and I don't know if that's ever going to change. But you hear some of the stories, and it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking, and I get you when you're frustrated by it. The people that leave don't have a choice, right? They have to go outside to provide for their families. They can't get it from the inside. And people are going to tout it because it exists. It exists, and it's what, 11, 12% of the GDP. That's huge. That's huge. Will it change? The entrepreneur in me, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, John, if I didn't believe all of this that happens in this country could change. I believe it can. I believe it's all possible. You see, I believe it's all possible. So if the 15 million of us outside of the country with the money that we make and we all came together, hell yeah, it's possible. You see, I've just seen amazing things going back and forth, and it is possible.
Give me a vision for that.
Give
Give me your vision of this. Like, I mean, you talk about 4 million OFWs in America, Fil-Ams, with spending power.
Yeah.
First of all, you gotta get them to care,
Absolutely.
and second of all, you gotta get them to pony up.
Yeah.
And then what?
It's why we created the Filipino
Right.
Story. We call it the Filipino Story, and it's anchored around 6 5-minute episodes, animated episodes. That's 6 5-minute animated episodes. That's 30 minutes. We're telling the Filipino story in 30 minutes
Right.
in a cartoon that we feel, after people watch all 6 episodes, we've launched the first 3 so you could watch it on our YouTube channel or our website. But once they get 4, 5, and 6, and they watch all 6 together, get ready. Because in 30 minutes, an 8-year-old to an 80-year-old, no matter if you're born in the Philippines or born outside of it, you watch those 30 minutes of the Filipino Story animated series, you will get the power and the beauty and the greatness of being Filipino. There's nothing like it. I'm not here to toot my horn, but I'm going to toot Bonnie's horn. Bonnie Lagronio, the writer, director who wrote it. I mean, he's the main writer. I'm the main inspiration. I'm the editor. I'm the one who shares 18 years of experience. And we bring in some of the most amazing culture bearers, anthropologists, historians, all into 30 minutes, John. 30 minutes, a 30-minute cartoon. We are there to entertain, number one. So watch it to be entertained.
No one's gonna watch it if they aren't entertained.
exactly,
So.
exactly. First thing, it has to be entertaining. We made a cartoon. Number two, it has to inspire. So entertain, inspire, and underneath it all, you're going to get the education you didn't know you got because you were entertained and inspired. And, some people just cry. And they don't know why they're crying, but we designed it that way. Like I cried in the first, there's like 25 drafts in each of these, yeah.
Oh, they interviewed me. I was like holding back tears. I will not cry on camera. I'm like,
And it's the truth because it's what happened to us as a people. And we need to know that. And once we know that, there's an awakening that's going to occur because it's already happening. I kid you not, it's already happening. I mean, I got people from Italy, France, Qatar. They're calling me, telling me, oh my God, this is like, I needed this. I was ready to give up being Filipino, and you guys are the light. I needed to keep this fire burning for me. And I'm just like, that's why we're here. Let's go. And that's why we say on our website, hop on the boat.
Yeah.
Hop on the boat. Because in episode 1, we start off with this boat called the Balangay, right? And that's where greatness began, in that boat. So we tell that story of how great these early Filipinos were. And you can look at those traits, that Bayanihan, that Kapwa, that Kabutiang, that all lived thousands and thousands of years ago. And then, episode 4, which isn't launched, we'll launch it in a month. Oh, they came. And they took that away. You see, the colonizers came. And that's like 500 years of answering to a master that told you weren't good enough. You're never going to be good enough. And we live with that today.
Yep.
You see? That's why I fought with my uncle. Nothing's better in this place. I was absolutely wrong about that. You see that? Mm-hmm. That's why I call myself a born-again Filipino.
Okay.
So I brought it full circle.
Nice. So let's say you inspire other born-again Filipinos, and now you have Filipinos who, now in this generation, they're not just OFWs, they're born into second generation, into whatever country they're in, and they don't know anything about the Filipinos, or they don't know anything about the Philippines. And God, I see it all the time. Like my California Filipino friends, my Hawaiian Filipino friends. You ever go back to the Philippines? Nah, man. Why not? It's not cool. It's just whatever excuses.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? I go back every year. It's great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They don't know what we know. They don't know. But when they watch some episodes of the Filipino Story, because we got more than just the animated series, we got all kinds of other titles in there, but all roads lead to this cartoon called the Filipino Story animated series. Everything is based on those 6 cartoons. When 4, 5, and 6 launch, they will understand. And your friends, if they watch it, all they got to do is spend 30 minutes with their kids if they wanted to, and just watch it, and they will get it. They will get just the greatness of who we are, who they are.
So let's say they watch it, they start to care. Then what?
They're going to watch it. What we say is watch it. And the way we're designing everything is because you have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have TikTok, you have all of this stuff. And picture this funnel, and that's top of the funnel, and then we have our website. They're all going to come to a point where they're going to go to our website, and they're going to see the same content that they see on all those platforms. And then we invite them to hop on the boat. So the irony of that is I used to call immigrants fobs, fresh off the boat. I don't call them that anymore. Well, they also called me first a coconut.
I don't think a lot of Filipinos... Do Filipinos know what fresh off the boat mean? Do you know what that means? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the fobs.
so let's just give them context for the Filipino audience.
Okay. Yeah.
I grew up with this term. It was a way Asian people would make fun of other Asian people in America by calling them fob. It means you're fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
You have an accent. You eat weird stuff. You smell weird. You're Asian.
You dress weird.
Right.
Yeah. You are the other.
Right. It was our way of separating ourselves
Absolutely.
from other Asians that were two Asians.
You see, and it was we needed to protect our Fil-Am brand. You are not going to go in and ruin us with your Filipino ways. We're Fil-Am. We're Fil-Am and you're Filipino. You're fresh off the boat. You are different from us. We are it sounds terrible, but that's the way we thought as a kid because of watching all this crap on American TV. That they were a lesser Filipino than us. I'm embarrassed about it to even say that, but it was the truth as a kid and what we believed in because of the way we grew up. And it's sad. But all that is getting undone with what we're putting out.
I hope so.
It is. It is. The data shows it.
Because then I experienced the other side of things. I'm living here in the Philippines,
Yeah.
and then we see Fil-Ams,
Yeah.
and they're pretty obnoxious too.
Bastards.
And so they have their own
Yeah.
so
You see, yeah, they're. I'm gonna say this because everybody's on their own journey wherever they're at. I didn't want to be Filipino. I hated being Filipino, and I'm Mr. Filipino. I'm born again Filipino. We acknowledge that. How am I gonna hate on people that talk the way they talk and grew up with the way they grew up? I didn't grow up. I grew up my own way. People criticize me, but that's all I knew. But everybody's on their own journey in their own time. I truly believe that it'll all come full circle. That they're going to get their Filipino-ness. It just might not be right now.
Right.
That's it. That's
Right.
it. Because
Right.
we got 80% that love me and there's 20% that hate me.
I have to admit, I might be wrong, but the thinking from Filipinos looking at Fil-Am is there's a little bit of this air of superiority,
There is.
right?
There is.
And so they come here and it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And America is about me.
Yeah.
It's what I wear, it's the car that I drive, it's the house that I have. You are measured by that. The majority here don't have that. So you come here thinking that because you have that you can wave it around like you do with your American friends. Because that's what Americans do. It is about me. That's it. Over here, it's about we. Completely different way of operating, you see. And the Filipino Story is there to tell this story of this me culture and we culture and how the Philippines was never a me culture. It was indoctrinated to be a me culture. But the we still exists. And that's what makes it beautiful.
Right.
It's why I keep coming back.
So let's go back to if you are able to pool these Filipinos together and they're inspired and they want to make a change, they care now.
Yeah.
You got them to caring. What do we do next? What do they do next? What are the big problems that we can address with that group, collective group together?
Yeah. When you got a group that cares like that, man, and you got that kind of financial firepower, you bring all that financial firepower together and you can go into banking, you can go into development, you could go into food, you can go into farming. There's just so many things that are needed here and over there We're not together as a community over there because we don't know who we are. There's also a generation gap, an intergenerational gap. There's gaps everywhere. We were trained to assimilate. But once they watch this one simple story of 6 5-minute episodes, you have no choice but to ask yourself, who am I going to be now? Because that's what we ask.
Mm-hmm.
You see, episode 1 is called, What Does It Mean to Be Filipino? Episode 2 is the beauty of the Philippines. Episode 3 is the greatness of the Filipino. Episode 4, our stunted greatness. Episode 5, the Filipino way. And episode 6, the Filipino dream.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that? And I experienced my American dream. And now it's time for me to experience my Filipino dream. And my Filipino dream includes every single Filipino in the world coming together and saying, we are Filipino. And we are great. Mm-hmm. And we always have been. And nobody's going to tell us otherwise. And this is my story. And I stand there. And I stand with you, brother, and I stand with you, sister, no matter where you are in the world. We are Filipino, and this is our story. And it will be our children's story. And it will be our children's children's story. And watch out. We know who we are now. And now we're going to build this thing. You see, there's just so many things like over there. Man, we have our own, we can pool money together in a way we've never pooled it. We can go into microfinance. We can go into cooperatives here. We can go in and give the farmer the ability to plant again, right? Because the Philippines doesn't feed itself. How do you like that?
That was my next question. Do you see these things because you don't think it's possible for them to solve that problem here?
I feel in my heart that God made me Fil-Am for a reason.
Okay.
to do what I'm doing. It's kind of why I'm on this podcast, right? There's a reason, because I'm not here to make money. I'm here to help. The best way I can help is get the global Filipino out there to know how great we really are. And that's telling a story that's pre-Spain. Mm-hmm. It's an indigenous story. It's an Indio-genius story, mm-hmm. You see. And once they get that story, they're going to know who they are. And it's not about coming here just for vacation anymore. Because right now, most people would opt out of coming to the Philippines because it's too far of a flight.
So I've been here for 17 years, 16 or 17 years, and it's hard not to lose hope in, improvements and change here. I think the system itself, and the more you understand and the more you dig and you try to understand why things are the way they are, I don't want to point fingers on what those reasons are. That's not what this podcast are about. But it leaves you feeling very hopeless.
It does.
And I care about a lot of, these people and a lot of these people who work for me. And it breaks my heart what they have to go through. And quite frankly, to be honest, I hate to admit it, but your better opportunity for a lot of these people is to go elsewhere, outside.
It is.
You're never going to get a fair chance here in so many ways, right?
There's a lot of truth in that.
And so when I started hearing you and talking about all these ideas about getting these, even talking about microfinancing, talking about banking solutions, talking about pulling together Fil-Am money for investments for the greater good that's not predatory, like everything is here. Feels like every system here is some sort of predation of the lower and middle class. So much so that the mass market is almost at a complete disadvantage. And now you don't have the education that will continue to oppress, that mindset. And so and I love that you guys are thinking that way, and you're like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? How can we, if it's not going to be solved here, maybe we can solve it with Filipinos overseas. And that idea is something worth working towards, I think.
It's my lane, John. It's my lane. And I can't do it all by myself. I'm just saying that my story is my story. And like I said earlier, everybody is in a different place with their own journey of their own story. My journey is just ripe, okay? And I see things, and I see what has been done and what can be done if we all just knew our own heritage and the story of that heritage. I'm just the guy making it, you see.
So that story is enough to get them to the next step, to actually
I'm going to say
something?
it's a foundation that I never had growing up.
Okay.
You see, if I grew up an 8-year-old and I got this foundation of who I am and the greatness of who I am versus who I wasn't, you want to know how I'm on the accelerated course, man. You see, I'm starting to build things. I'm starting to aspire, and I want to go to the Philippines. This is where I'm from. This is where my people are from, and then my people need me. And sure, I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to enjoy all of this, but I'm Filipino. I was born a hero, you see, and this is who I am, and this is our way. And I'm going to live that way for the rest of my life. And I'm going to teach my kids that this is our way. You see, that's millions of Filipinos all over the United States, all over Canada, Australia, the Middle East. It doesn't matter. And then we get to inspire through the work that we do together, Filipinos here. And I truly believe we're one people. We just all got scattered all over the planet. And we all had different stories to tell, but we are one people. This is home. You see? I'm Fil-Am. I'm Filipino American. I'm American. I love being American. And I'm proud to be American. And I'm proud to be Filipino. I was so proud I became a citizen as well, so I'm a dual citizen. But I know who I am. I'm Filipino. Did you hear me say am? No, I'm Filipino. And these are my people. And that's where I stand today. I'm Filipino, and where I'm from is the Philippines. And when we get everybody to this place, there's so many things that are now possible because we get to do it together versus, I don't need, that's them. No, we're one people on the same journey, on the same boat. And that's why we're saying, hop on the boat, man. So instead of fresh off the boat, you are now fresh on the boat. So there's a new way that FOB is a good thing for us. And that's just my way of transforming a condition that used to control me. Doesn't control me anymore. I know it's deep.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something there that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But it'll be interesting. I hope more people come up and speak up about this stuff. I hope there's more content about this stuff, and I hope there are more people who will address the real problems.
I truly believe in my heart, John, that if we're one people on the same journey, on the same boat, this journey, everybody's at a different place of that journey. And you look at the powers that be in this country, they're on that journey too. As much as I want to make them wrong, I can't anymore because they're on this same journey. They just don't know when they're gonna pop, you see. And there's just big money everywhere. But everybody just has to ask themselves, like I've had to ask myself. And that's what the Filipino Story animated series gets to do. Is it allows you to ask yourself, who am I and where am I at in this journey? And if they continue to stick with it, they will pop and they will do something about it, just like I'm doing something about it. And when we all do it, and more people that hop on, the load gets lighter and it gets easier. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. And you're right, they have to care. They have to care. And that feeling is sourced from your heart. The Philippines.
Yeah. Well, lead the way. I mean, because
I'm doing my best.
I
I'm
do
doing
talk
my
to other
best.
peoples who are like, for example, Lucky. Lucky is. I don't know if you met Lucky.
Oh, I know Lucky's a
Lucky's
brother.
great. Oh, yeah, he's
Lucky's
great.
a brother.
He's out there like just on a mission, getting Filipinos to come back here.
Yeah, and Lucky is he's been I'm a born again, right? So I've only been Filipino for 18 years. But Lucky, he exudes every single value that I shared. Bayanihan, kapwa, kabutiang loob. That is freaking Bani. Oh, that's Lucky Siap. And he's everything for him is about community. And we like invented that word. I mean, it's just deep. It's just a deep, like, Bayanihan, man. Just, it's a deep word, but he embodies that.
Right.
That's why I love that guy.
Right. And you see, like what you're doing, creating that inspiration and that awareness, and then Lucky's trying to bring that back.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it all contributes to them just caring about it.
Yeah.
You know, and then we need real solutions here. We need solutions people can jump on and get behind.
And they'll come, John. They'll come. You see, they will come. It's first things first, right? Let's invite everybody in on this journey. That you're all welcome.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the stuff that we produce is free. Just watch it. Just sit with it. Be with it. You know, share it with your kids. Watch it with your kids. And there's just inspirational stuff that's just gonna nail you. You know, there's comments there say, don't watch this stuff in public because they're gonna see you cry. We're there to tell the truth. I feel has never been told in the way we're telling it, and it's rich with heritage, and there's rich with just love, and we're explaining it all for the first time.
So when is the next episode coming up?
Episodes 4, 5, and 6 is going to be launched next month.
Okay.
So actually, the end of July. End of July. If you've subscribed,
All at once?
yeah,
All
4,
three?
5, and 6.
Okay.
We're going for the granddaddy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the website, thefilipinostory.com, it'll have all 6 episodes.
Okay.
And all of it links to YouTube. So wherever you watch it, right, it's all there. You could easily find it.
So for me, I'll just rewatch all three.
Yeah, watch all
six.
6
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, I've
because
watched the three. And
Yeah, they're all designed to connect.
Right.
It's almost like a song. You
Yeah.
know, you listen to the song the first time, and now you know what the hook is. Bonnie has just been masterful in the way he wrote it, told the story.
But after the 6, what happens then? Do
It's
you create a new story or what? Like does
yeah.
it,
So those 6, all of the content and all the other, I'm gonna say in our video section, there's different theme titles. So whatever it is, if you want to know more about our history, sure, there's a lane there. If you want to know about our culture, there's a lane there. But all of it connects to those 6 episodes, because those 6 episodes are the foundation, and everything else that we produce stacks on top of that foundation. You see?
Got it.
But it's the 6. That's the granddaddy.
Nice.
Yeah. 30 minutes.
Right.
30 minutes. I wanted to make it easy.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it easy. Even for a kid. Even for a kid.
That's true.
Yeah.
That being it's a cartoon,
Yeah.
it's like kid friendly.
Let me tell you, we designed it for 8-year-olds, and when we did our first test, 8 to 80 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys are great at storytelling. So that's the
It's
key.
Bonnie. It's not me.
That's the key.
It's not me. It's Bonnie.
That's the key. Anyways, it was great having you on this podcast. And I'd love to have you guys back some other time, especially after you guys have done the 6th episode.
Yeah,
And then if you guys are somehow together a good, strong following of like Filipino Americans and Filipinos who are overseas, if you guys ever do something, count me in. Let me know how I can
And I
help.
appreciate that, brother. I really appreciate that because we're going to need all the help we can get.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, that was great. So if you guys like this podcast, please make sure you like and subscribe. And, drop a comment. Let us know what you think and share your experience with us. Are you a Filipino living overseas? Do you experience not liking being Filipino or hating being Filipino? Tell us your story. We'd love to hear about it. We read everyone. Thanks,
All
man.
right. It's a wrap. Thanks, bye.